the intro.
Welcome back to the San Tom podcast. We will be talking about Texas A&M at Notre Dame today. Number 16 Texas A&M at number 8 Notre Dame. Currently, Texas A&M is 2-0. They've had an easier schedule than Notre Dame. Notre Dame played Miami week 1. Texas A&M played week 0. We shall see how this week turns out, but um, Notre Dame had a good showing against Miami, even though they lost 27-24. So we'll see. This will be good versus good. Saison, what do you think about it?
Very excited for this matchup as well this weekend. The Notre Dame Fighting Irish hosting the Texas A&M Aggies. These two teams, they played last year, of course. I believe Notre Dame won last year in a pretty close game, pretty good game last season. Um,
Yes, 23-13, yes.
Yep. So they started off their season pretty well last season. This year, not the same kind of success to start off the season, unfortunately, for Notre Dame. Like you said, barely lost to a good Miami team. And now they're going against a good Texas A&M team, that's going to have high hopes again this season as they do every year. Went 8-4 last year and barely missed out on an SEC championship berth. If they would have just won their last couple of games, they would have been in the SEC championship. So they're thinking that they can get back to that spot, and they want to win. They want to avenge that loss from last season, of course, as well. Notre Dame doesn't want to start off their season 0-2, so that's not good for Notre Dame, especially for the playoff because Notre Dame's not in a conference, so no conference championship to look forward to. They can't afford as many losses as a Georgia could or a an Ohio State could. Like maybe 3 losses at most for those teams. Notre Dame, you're looking at like 2, and that's about as many as you can afford, really, and that might not even.
Yep.
So, Notre Dame does not want to lose any more games, especially not 2 games in a row to start off their season. They're going to be
Yeah,
ready.
I don't think they lost a bad game in week 1, especially 27-24 to Miami. I think Miami replaced their talent really well. So I think number 8 for Miami is respectable, but this is going to be a real test, whether Miami can, or excuse me, whether Notre Dame can, at home beat a Texas A&M like last year, because I think last year Texas A&M was also a playoff caliber team, but they're in the SEC, so that makes it harder for them to even have a chance. And again, playing a team like Notre Dame I mean, whether you want to count this as week 3 or week 2, either way, I think this is going to be it's kind of like a Miami Notre Dame uh game, in the sense where I think it could be a playoff game. But because if Texas A&M loses this week, and then again, like we talk about, like, well, Notre Dame lost to Miami, and if they went out, they're 110% going to make the playoff. Well, if Texas A&M loses this game, they're going to be 2-1 compared to Notre Dame's 1-1, and so I think Texas A&M still has a chance to make the playoffs if they have a good season after losing to Notre Dame. If they lose to Notre Dame, which again, I think this game is just a 50-50 toss up. But what do you think about that there, Saison?
No, I completely agree, Tom, because uh, I think that Texas A&M can afford to lose this game more than Notre Dame can. So I think it's just a bigger game for Notre Dame because, like you said,
Yes.
A&M, they're 2-0 right now. Losing this game would just be a good loss in their record, especially if they have a good rest of their season. So they want to win this game, of course, but they have a SEC schedule coming up. So that's really what they're worried about. This is just an out of conference game, just show that they're a good team and hopefully get a good win over a good team. But Notre Dame cannot really afford to lose this game, in my opinion. And you, especially starting off the season 0-2, even if it's against two good teams, that's just not a good look, especially for a team that's not in a conference, as I've alluded to before. And I don't think they can afford that, especially when they still got some games ahead of the way. Of course, they still got to play USC and whoever else they have on their schedule. But really excited for this game, especially a rematch. I love to see rematches, and another reason why Notre Dame can't lose this game is because they're at home. So that just adds to the pressure. But we've seen we've seen Notre Dame lose at home before, as I allude to a lot last season against Northern Illinois at home. So it's definitely possible. And as far as picking a winner, I'll pick Notre Dame just because I think they're the better team and they're going to come more prepared. And I think they know in the back of their minds, especially Marcus Freeman, the coach, that they probably cannot lose this game as far as the full season scope is worth. So I think they're gonna make sure that they come out on top. Even if it's a close game, I think it might be close, but I think they'll make sure they come out with a win and keep that momentum going to the season. But very excited to see it, and could go either way. But give me the Irish.
I agree 100% there with everything you said. I like the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. I think they're gonna. I don't know if I'd take the spread, but I do like Notre Dame money line. And again, agree with you everything you said. They might slip a game against like a USC or something down the road, but they need to win this game against Texas A&M to basically hold their position as a top 12 team in the country.
Yeah, man, and both of these teams got a lot to prove. Two young quarterbacks on both sides. On both sides, CJ Carr for North getting his first season starting, and then you got Marcel Reed on the other side. He had a good last season, but he's trying to build on that. Still a very young quarterback, a sophomore. And both of these teams have a lot to prove, and they're going to want to show it, this Saturday. But I just think that Notre Dame knows that they cannot afford to lose this, and they're going to play like it. Texas A&M, they're probably going to play like they can afford to lose this game. They'll make a couple mistakes, and they won't have their best night, and I'll end up letting the Irish come away with it. But Texas A&M's looking ahead. They know they got the Alabamas and the Georgias and the Ole Misses ahead of them, so that's really what they're worried about. This is just a tune-up game for them. Notre Dame, this is like a make or break. Like we're gonna look back at the end of the season and be like, how did they play against A&M when we're talking about Notre Dame making the playoff? And if they lost this game and started off 0-2, and then end up winning the rest of their 10 games, and they're at 10-2 at the end of the year, this might be something that holds them out. So we'll see. But yeah, that's all I got to say about it.
Yeah, I think that was a good little podcast.
Yeah, I think that was a good short one. I'm gonna end it right there.